Housing and Technical Resources Committee, held on the 22nd of January 2024. Councillors Walter Brogan, Arch Buchanan, Matthew Buchanan are present. Councillor Janine Kalikis is present. Councillor Jerry Convery is present. Councillor Margaret Cooper is not present. The following members are present: Councillors Andrea Cowan, Margaret Cowie, Maureen Devlin, Colin Dewar. Apologies from Councillor Joe Fagan. The following members are present: Councillors Alan Faulkner, Grant Ferguson, Alistair Fulton, Ross Gowland, Jerry Gray, Ross Lambie. Martin Lennon is not present. The following members are present: Councillors Richard Lockhart, Julia Mars, Ian McCallan, Kenny McCready, David McLaughlin, Norman Ray, David Shearer. And Councillor Kirsty Williams is not present. Thank you, and I'll pass you back to the Chair for today's business.
Thank you very much, Stuart. Before I start, I'm going to read a short statement here. Before we move on to consider the report, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the Tenants' representatives on the Budget Scrutiny Group and the Tenant Participation Coordination Group, two of whom I can see are present here this morning. Thank you very much for coming along. Yet again, the tenant representatives on these groups have worked with us to develop and deliver a broad programme of customer engagement in this year's budget and to shape the proposals in front of us today. While we face some particular challenges this year, the commitment, knowledge and experience of the tenant representatives undoubtedly placed us in a strong position to ensure tenants' views have been appropriately considered in developing the budget for 25 and 26. Thank you again. Is there any declarations of interest? Don't see any. Item 2 on the agenda is the Housing Revenue and Capital Account Budget 25 to 26. I'm going to ask Sharon Egan to take us through that report. Sharon.
Thank you, Chair. And morning, councillors. And again, I'd just like to reiterate what Councillor McLaughlin has said as a thank you to all our tenants. We appreciate the efforts and the involvement. So first of all, just to take you through the report. So the purpose of the report is to outline the revenue estimate proposals for the Housing Revenue Account for 25-26 and request approval for the 2025-26 Housing Capital Programme, which totals to just under 86 million. So the proposals for the Housing Revenue Account budget for 2025-26, this has been prepared in line with the 30-year HRA business plan. This has been developed to reflect the investment priority to maintain and improve our housing stock in order to meet national housing quality and energy efficiency standards. The programme also includes projects to increase the supply of council housing, as well as environmental works, legislative compliance programmes, ensuring that we meet safety requirements. The movement from the original 2024-25 revenue budget is outlined in Appendix 1 of the report. But just to note, the main expenditure movements are the supervision and management costs, which have been increased for the cost for the pay award, the employer's national insurance and other inflationary pressures, which are offset by a reduction in the provision of bad debt. The other factors are housing repairs and maintenance, reflecting a prudent allocation for the expected costs and demands for these services and efficiency savings targets, which are further detailed at 3.6. The financing cost loan charges reflects the costs associated with the planned investment requirements, the housing rents are inclusive of additional new stock and the proposed rent increase, and the planned transfer from reserves reflects the requirements within 25-26 budget for the long-term investments which are included within the 30-year business plan. The 2025-26 budget proposal also concludes a provision of just over £2 million for bad debt. This is a decrease from 24-25. However, it is required to continue to provide for the potential impact of arrears and non-payment of rent. This includes contingency for the ongoing uncertainty in rental collections in the coming year due to the cost of living pressures, the continued managed migration to universal credit, which we'll see in the coming months, and an allocation of £300,000 for tenancy sustainment mitigation. In previous rounds of budget engagement, tenants have favoured the multi-year agreements on the basis that this provided some clarity regarding rent levels over that medium term. A rent increase of 6.5% is proposed for 2025-26, with a potential further increase of 6.5% for 26-27. This is the second year of the 3-year multi-year arrangement, and in accordance with statutory requirements, this commitment will be subject to annual review and further customer engagement. This approach will allow the Council and tenants to plan and budget on a longer-term basis. I would like to note here that based on the latest Scottish Social Housing Charter return, the average rent charges for South Lanarkshire Council tenants are currently 7th lowest of local authorities across Scotland. In addition, South Lanarkshire Council tenants' rent charges are the lowest of all the social landlords which operate within the South Lanarkshire area. In line with the HRA business plan, a reduction of £300,000 for efficiencies has been included within the house and repair service. Savings have been achieved following a tender for a new contractor for our void clear-outs, which the details are noted there at 3.6. This has also decreased our void timescales, resulting in a saving to our void rent loss. The remaining efficiencies will be achieved through the reduced use of external contractors for house and repairs relating to voids. So Section 4 sets out the proposal for the Housing Revenue Account for the Capital Programme for 2025-26. Again, this is compiled in line with the 30-year HRA business plan, and as well as continuing to plan and undertake the works needed to maintain and improve our housing stock and meet the housing quality and energy efficiency standards, there is also a significant work stream in this year's housing investment programme to continue our investment to increase the overall supply of council housing across South Lanarkshire. The full HRA capital programme for 25-26 is detailed further in Appendix 2. Further key investment activities in relation to these priorities include kitchens, bathrooms, heating replacements, insulation, external fabric upgrading, windows and doors replacements and other legislative compliance works and environmental improvements. To point out here at 4.3, one of the headlines from the recently published Scottish Government draft budget for 25-26 is that the funding available for the Affordable Housing Supply Programme will increase by 44% when compared to the original published budget for this current year. It remains unclear how this increase will translate locally. However, the Council continue to meet with the Scottish Government and engage in this process. And as soon as we have clarity, which we hope to be in next month, a further update will be provided. In the interim, a programme has been developed based on the grant allocation for 23-24 prior to the funding reduction that we received in 24-25. This can be increased or reduced as necessary when the grant funding for the coming year is confirmed, and further reports will be provided to Executive Committee on that basis. The table at 4.4 details the capital programme funding. So the grant and borrowing assumptions are based on an anticipated 181 units and 60 acquisitions that could be completed during 2025-26, and that should level off the grant funding to be made available. But however, as I've mentioned, once grant levels for 25-26 have been confirmed, any impact to future capital programme will be reported to Executive Committee. 4.6 details the borrowing, which is just over 25 million, which is noted in Table 1, includes the previously approved borrowing, which was forecast to be carried forward from 2024-25. The additional borrowing there of new borrowing for additional housing supply will result in an increase to the annual loan charges of circa 1.1 million per annum starting in 26-27, and these costs have been included within the HRA business plan. So moving on to consultation arrangements, as we've mentioned here, we're very thankful of the tenants' involvement. So the Budget Scrutiny Group provides the main vehicle for discussion between the Council and our tenant representatives on the house and budgetary process. Each year, the Council and the Budget Scrutiny Group work together to develop and coordinate the consultation programme in terms of setting out the rent levels for the coming year. So this year's consultation programme followed a very similar approach to previous years. We've had an online survey which was open to all council tenants and widely promoted via the South Lanarkshire View. We had the Housing News digital newsletter and there was other publications through the council's social media channels. In addition, other engagement opportunities were held, including focus group meetings with the homelessness service users, engagement with tenants living in sheltered housing developments, and contact with specific tenant groups across our estate. A conversation cafe event was facilitated by the Tenant Development Support Project. This was held in the Hamilton Townhouse on the 10th of December, and that provided an opportunity for tenants to come together and discuss the rent proposal and investment priorities in further detail. During the consultation, the Budget Scrutiny Group and Tenant Participation Coordination Group participated in various open discussions with senior council officers on key issues and challenges that were facing the council. So this included the ongoing economic uncertainty and the impact of the cost of living crisis, the increased costs associated with delivering our frontline services, and the Council's commitment to ensuring that rents remain affordable. So 5.4 details a summary of the feedback we've received from both TPCG and BSG. So the range of challenges facing the Council in delivering services was recognised. It was also recognised the continuing economic uncertainty for the Council in delivering our investment and our new build programmes. The group was supportive of the proposed 6.5% rent increase being applied for the second year and of the Council's commitment to rents remaining affordable. The group welcomed the ongoing range of supports available from the Council to tenants who were experiencing financial difficulties. So feedback at 5.5 from the engagement that took place with tenants in the online survey, there was 1,275 surveys were completed during the consultation stage. There was strong agreement from respondents that the proposed investment priorities were correct. The Budget Scrutiny Group and those who took part in the focus groups and other engagement opportunities were broadly supportive of the 6.5% rent increase for the second year. 51% of the respondents to the online survey supported the rent level to be increased by 6.5%. So, taking through the various implications, I just want to note at section 10, in terms of the integrated impact assessment and consultation requirements, a new integrated impact assessment has been completed for the Housing Revenue and Capital Account budget for 25-26, which has included assessing potential impact of the proposed levels for 25-26. So based on that, I would like to take you back to the recommendations. So the first recommendation is that the proposed rent increase of 6.5% be applied in 25-26 with a further 6.5% increase in 26-27, albeit this will be reviewed annually. So this rent increase will be applied to all council houses, gypsy traveller sites, lockups and garage sites, and the revenue estimate proposals for the HRA should be noted in Appendix 1. Second recommendation is that based on this rent increase of 6.5%, the 25-26 Housing Capital Programme of just under £86 million, as detailed in Appendix 2, be endorsed, and finally that the recommendations be referred to Executive Committee for endorsement and then to Council for approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Is there any questions or comments? I've got a few here. So, Jerry Convery first, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just on 3.6, I welcome the reduction in outside contractors. We've got a workforce and we need to utilise that workforce and we need to add to that workforce. So I welcome that, and they're the proof of the pudding. We get rid of contractors and we save money and we get a better service to our tenants. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Jerry. David Shearer.
Thanks, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. I'd like to ask Sharon about 3.3, the bad debt and the unpaid rent. I'm sure, Sharon, that the officers are on top of that and very confident of that fact. However, I would like to see maybe regular reports to the committee so that we can keep an eye on what's happening, given that there's a cost of living crisis out there, so that if we need to adjust what the department's doing, we have the full facts. Would that be possible?
Sharon.
Thanks, Councillor Shearer. So currently the service provides quarterly reports in the Service and Resource Plan that will come here to Housing and Tech Committee, providing an update on what our income collection levels have been. So there'll be key performance indicator updates around our rent collection. That already comes here, but if there's anything specific that you want to see over and above that, then I'm happy to take that up and we can incorporate an update. But just to kind of touch on that a little bit more, I can just give an update on where we are following our latest reporting period. So just coming off the back of the rent-free fortnight there over the festive period, the teams had achieved just over 100% in their income collection. So it was 100.31%, which is really positive. And as you know, tenants get the benefit of the rent-free fortnight over the festive period. However, my officers will still pursue tenants who have any level of rent arrears over that period of time, so that the rent-free fortnight doesn't apply when you've got any sort of level of rent debt. Just to add to that, I feel that we're in a strong position just now. The service, we've got our lowest net debit that we've had this financial year, so we're sitting at 6.39%. We're well ahead and on track to achieve the resource targets for year end. However, this is a really focused time for each of the house and locality teams, where we pursue an income collection in the lead up to year end. And we currently still have a little bit of available funds in the Tenancy Sustainment Fund, and we'll make sure we use that appropriately to support people and prevent homelessness. But absolutely, Councillor Shearer, if there's anything else in addition to that, I can certainly pick that up here and we can bring updates. Thank you.
David, the quarterly report, is that sufficient for you? And are you happy with Sharon's response?
I know it's included, Chair, within the quarterly response, but the quarterly response is just that. It covers a wide area of activity. I was looking for maybe a separate report, even a short report, just to highlight where we are as a marker as we go through the year, Chair.
Sharon, how cumbersome would it be to try and organise something like that?
No, that's absolutely fine, Councillor Shearer, I can do that. We compile and analyse our rent figures every reporting period. So what I can do is bring a report to Housing and Tech Committee for year end. So we could bring it after the year end, and I can bring a full summary and range of our rent indicators. So that's fine, I'll take that forward as an action. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, David. Julia Mars?
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Can you see and hear me?
Yes,
I'm still
I
seeing
can, yeah.
David on screen. Thank you. According to Appendix 1 on page 8 of the pack, the cost of the supervision and management is £32.486 million. I'm wondering how much of that cost is directly due to the rise in employers' national insurance, and is that figure confirmed for the year, or is it subject to mitigation by the UK government? And additionally, Chair, I might as well just give all the questions in one go. What has been the direct impact for tenants' rents for this year and for future years? What will the direct impact of that rise in national insurance, employers' national insurance, be? And have we contacted the UK government to seek redress for that?
Who's want to deal with that? Sharon?
Thanks, Councillor Mars. So just to update, it is noted in the report around the national insurance, and Finance have confirmed that the figure there is 330,000, which would be the impact in 25-26 to the HRA. So that's been built into the figures, which you'll see in Appendix 1 that is included. And that's assuming no money comes forward to the HRA from UK or Scottish Government. But we await if there's any further updates on that. Thank you.
Okay.
With your indulgence, Chair,
Yeah.
can I ask whether contact has been made to the UK government to seek redress on that matter?
Stephen, on you go.
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Mark, no, not from housing, because this is all we're doing, speaking about the HRA business plan. At an organisational level, I'm not entirely sure, but certainly not from the HRA, and certainly not in line with this report.
Right, thank you.
Okay. David. Okay, Andrea?
Thanks, Chair. Happy New Year, everybody. I think this is the first time we've been in, isn't it? Anyway, so I have just a couple of points. The thing about the rent arrears that Davy spoke about, I think really what Davy and I had discussed was maybe getting a wee bit of an idea of the demographic of how those rent arrears are falling. You know, if there are certain groups that are falling behind, we were a wee bit interested in that, and it was really just around the cost of living, just to make sure that nobody or no group of people, be it young single folk or young families or whatever, just to see where if there's a pattern, if there, that was kind of what we were looking for. So that would be ideal if we could have some detail on that. Thanks, Sharon. The other thing, again, was to do with the stop using the external contractors. I'm also pleased at that. and again, just wanted reassurance that we have the in-house capability to cope with that. Obviously, we wouldn't want to see the voids, the time for shifting the voids, and we want to see that falling back. I know that they've done great work in getting those under control. So again, just a wee bit of reassurance that in-house we've got enough staff and that they're capable of keeping that under control. And again, presumably, if the voids did start to run away again, or the repairs, we had the repairs last year around the burst pipes, and it caused big delays. So just to say that presumably there's there is the opportunity to employ external contractors if they're absolutely needed.
Sure.
Yeah. I've one more point was just about the
Hang on.
Sorry.
Is Andrea still on?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, you're okay, Andrea. I
Yeah.
thought your mic had been turned off.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. No, just to, again, obviously welcome additional housing supply, 181 new properties, and 60, the target for 60 acquisitions. Excuse me. Again, just, the acquisitions, as we've talked about numerous times, is the fastest way to acquire property that's good to go, and cheaper than building, and waiting for builders. So that 60, that number, I just wondered again, and I know that we don't know the amount that's coming yet from the Scottish Government and how it's going to be divvied up in terms of any ring fencing. But again, just hoping that there's room for an increase in those acquisitions if we get the opportunity. And I've got one more little point, again, just around this is an Appendix 2, and there's a breakdown of the capital spending, and it's the council house adaptations, £150,000, which just doesn't seems like a drop in the ocean for council house adaptations. And again, just hoping that if there's a wee bit of flexibility in the budget, if maybe some more money could go into that. I think we've all had casework, I'm sure, where people are stuck in hospital because they haven't got a ramp, or, and just about trying to keep people in their own homes safely and comfortably for as long as possible. So again, I'm disappointed that that's such a small amount of money. I appreciate budget pressures, but just wondered if there's a bit of flexibility around that as well. Thanks.
You got all that, Sharon?
Thanks,
Thank
Councillor. I'll pick up probably your first 2 points, and then maybe Daniel or Graham will be able to pick up in the final one around giving a bit more clarity in the Aids and ADAPTS budget. So in terms of the use of subcontractors, we're no longer required to use subcontractors for the voids. Our voids are operating at a normal level. We're under 200. That is just routine. It's a very low percentage in terms when you look at our overall stock. So there's no concerns at all with the voids. There's been other processes put in place as well to make it more efficient. And we've got a new contractor there on board to do the void clear-outs, which is completely minimised. They're completing the works within 48 hours, which reduces the timescale. So, but absolutely, both Stephen, Craig and I have all got an eye on voids and making sure that it doesn't spike, especially as you mentioned, any severe weather that we experience. And just to give a bit of clarity, so today, following the frost weather that we experienced just about a week and a half ago, where we had multiple days in a row have been under and been minus temperatures, we've got 9 tenants out their home. But thankfully, that's nothing like the December 22. So that's really positive. But in relation to being able to access subcontractors, should it be needed in the future, they're on the framework through procurement arrangements. We can tap into that. But at the minute, there's no need for that for voids. Picking up on your second point around acquisitions, absolutely, as you point out in the appendix, we've included an acquisition target for 25-26 is 60. So 60 has been our target historically on an annual basis, but as you know, over the past 2 years, we've increased that. We've took opportunities in the market where it's been available for us to get buybacks for the home report value or for under home report value where there's any sort of works required. So this year we are striving to achieve 150. We'd originally set the target as 120. But we're going to, because we've got the availability to do so, we're going to acquire another 30 in this financial year, but draw that down on the claim on the 1st of April for 25-26 with the Scottish Government. We've already discussed that with the Scottish Government. They know we're doing that, so we're just taking that opportunity that the market's allowing just now. So it's likely you'll see more than 60 next year as well. As you mentioned, we're waiting to see a bit of clarity on how the Affordable Housing Supply Programme grant funding will be divvied up, what we'll receive and whether any is ring-fenced for acquisitions. And that again will determine and drive forward the programme for next year.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Okay for you, Andrea? Thanks very much.
Yeah, no, that's great, thanks. Yeah.
Norman Ray?
I know, I've still got... Sorry, that was just Sharon that was finished. I'm getting my money's worth.
Oh, beg your pardon, Andrea. Sorry. Daniel? We don't know what's
Thank you for your question, Councillor. Yes, within the HRA budgets, there is in Appendix 1, there is a housing repairs and maintenance budget of £48 million, and included within that £48 million is £1.8 million ring-fenced specifically for aids and adaptations. So there is a budget there specifically for that area for aids and adaptations. However, £150,000 of any actual spend against that is capitalised, which is why it's in the Appendix 2 for the capital report. However, as I said, there's £1.8 million specifically allocated under repair and maintenance heading for aids and adaptations.
That sounds much more like it. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Norman, you had your hand up, but it's now removed. That's you back in again.
Thank you. I just had a question about the capital budget and specifically regarding the external fabric upgrading works. I was wondering if there has, in this year's budget, been any allocation for either Silver Banks or Central Campus Lang housing for upgrades?
Thanks, Councillor Ray. I'll need to double check exactly. I've not got the breakdown with me in terms of the actual streets which are included within the external wall insulation. So I'll get that checked and come back to you for Central Campus Lang and Silver Banks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I believe that's it. We don't have any more questions. So I'll move the report, the recommendation.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. I have no other business, so thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance. That's a bit long, isn't it? Sorry?
That's a lot of questions this year.
That's what I'm saying.